Fredberry stalked the amber prairies. We all gotta live, but nature's law. Live. I'm gonna live to bang and claw. I'm gonna live my...
Great job. Ted Nugent, where's Ted Nugent? Where's Ted? Huh? Look at you. You doing well? You are a handsome devil. Thank you. Great job, Ted. Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here.
And now, it's time for Ted Nugent's Spirit Campfire with John Brenkus. It's the physics of spirituality with attitude. Powered by Patriot Mobile. Switch now. Go to patriotmobile.com/Ted.
Snakeskin cowboy, who the hell you think you are? Sliding around with your fancy pants on. Don't think you'll get too far. I see you hanging around on my sleeve. You got nothing on me. I got some news for the pretty little boys. Stick around, baby. I got to set you free tonight. Snakeskin cowboy. Can you feel the love? Here it is, February 22nd, 2021. And in spite of the ever-increasing insanity all around us, welcome to the Ted Nugent Spirit Campfire. Listen to your Uncle Ted. Listen closely. It's going to be okay. Everything's going to be fine. You know how the Stones sang, "Give Me Shelter"? This, the Ted Nugent Spirit Campfire with John Brenkus. This is your shelter. John, Courtney, Herbert, Doug, Linda, Toby, everybody, Shemaine. It's going to be all right.
There we go.
How you doing? The Queen is here. The Queen of the Forest is here.
Queen of the Forest is here.
Hey, John,
you know what?
how are you?
Every little thing is going to be all right. Bob Marley knew what he was talking about.
Yes.
I don't think Bob Marley knew what he was talking about, but certainly the mantra that everything's going to be okay is going to be okay, but not if you're stoned and you end up dying because you hang out with stoned people. That's not okay. Being tuned in and alive and actually caring about your surroundings, not wanting to escape your surroundings, but to embrace your surroundings and put your heart and soul into making your surroundings better. That's how you make everything all right. Not by receding and running away, but by being tuned in and cognizant, cocked, locked, and ready to rock the Glock dock, which is why I surround myself with John Brenkus and the Queen of the Forest. Isn't that right, Shemmy?
Yes.
All right. By the way, if I look really happy tonight, it's because I chewed on her hips last night.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
John.
I'm just being honest.
I didn't know we were going there.
Well, he didn't know I was going there last night, so everything's going to be okay.
This is true. I did not.
But now she knows. So, John, I just go ahead. I got so much. There's so much going on. First of all, Mr. Brenkus, my companion, my blood brother of the Great Spirit Campfire, how are you and yours in the wilds of Georgia?
You know, we are doing great. I actually just got back from a trip down on 30A, which is the strip of beach on the Panhandle that I think is magic. We've got a place down there, and you and the family are going to have to come visit.
Nice.
Because I'll tell you what, everyone down in Florida, it is party time USA.
You know what?
along the
I just
panhandle.
got stuck in Florida. I was supposed to come home, and we had those terrible Texas storms last week.
Yep.
Hallelujah.
And gosh darn the luck, John, but I got stuck in Florida. Can you believe
Florida
that?
rocks, period. And Georgia rocks. I mean, I'm telling you, it rocks. So we're going to be
And
spending a
tonight-
lot of time down on
tonight
that
you
strip
have a
of beach.
guest. You have a guest from Naples, Florida, who is he's like Ted, only he owns.
I doubt that.
He owns a grocery store, and it's more than a grocery store. It's an experience. It's a lifestyle. You go to seed to table, and it feels like you're in heaven. It feels like an incredible place for adults to get
I was
the
in heaven
greatest
last
food.
night. It was a place for this adult.
Yeah. You were on heaven.
Anyhow, if I may,
Evidently in heaven they serve hips.
we do have a wonderful guest. His name is Alfie, and he runs the incredible eatery called Seed to Table. And I think that is the battle cry of people who are becoming more and more responsible, more and more tuned in, more and more conscientious about what they put in their sacred temple.
Well, not only that, but he was the first place in Naples that didn't require and mandate that you had to wear a mask.
Defiance.
And
We
it
celebrate defiance on the Spirit Campfire.
It's the most amazing thing, and I can't wait for you guys to hear his story because I've been going there for months. I love it there. It's the most amazing food on the planet, and I can't wait for you guys to meet in person someday.
Well, Shemaine, I think you're the most amazing food on the planet. But being that as it may, John, I would like to start off with an Uncle Ted monologue, a gonzo monologue. Number one, greetings. Happy February 22nd, 2021. I really do believe that everything is going to be okay. Everybody hang with me for a minute. Number one, a thank you to Patriot Mobile. A thank you to John and Herbert and Courtney and Linda and Doug and Toby, my wonderful wife Shemaine, my son Fleetwood, Louisa, Sasha, Toby, Heather, Chantal, Rocco, a salute to Mike Lindell, a prayer for the great Tucker Carlson, who's holding the line for truth, logic, and common sense. He actually gets truth, logic, and common sense in an otherwise corrupt medium it shows that there is hope, and he has a huge following, the greatest ratings ever. I want to thank Joe Piscopo. I was on Joe's show again this morning, John, and I celebrated the truth, logic, positive energy, positive spirit, the uppityness, the American dream of being the best that you can be. Not just Joe Piscopo, but Joe Pags, Mark Davis, Michael Berry, Frank Beckman, Lars Larson, Joe Rogan, Adam Carolla. But at this point, as I mention all these media people that continue to celebrate and promote and encourage and pray for in these very difficult times in America, truth, logic, and common sense that we all really know in our guts. We know the right thing to do. But if we may, John, we'll talk about the dangerous, treacherous conditions in the last 7 days after last Monday's Campfire, where people are still hurting in Texas, blown up pipes, water running amok, running out of food, running out of water. Our shelves in the grocery stores here in Texas, John, it's unforgivable. It's absolutely unacceptable.
You can't buy milk.
It's
There's
literally
no milk. It looks like worse than during the pandemic, during the quarantine, worse than that.
But with all that said, John, I would like to start, and I thank you for your patience with me because I live such a full life. I have such a great communication network of such wonderful people that I would like to dedicate the next part of this show tonight, and I know you'll have really important things to say before we bring on Alfie, the owner of Seed to Table, our guest. But in memory and the condolences to conservative, God, family, country Americans at the loss of a great, great man, my friend Rush Limbaugh. Rush finally succumbed to that dreaded cancer. I cannot say enough positive things. I have quite a history with Rush. In 1988, I was on tour, as always, and I was going on a pig hunt in Georgia, by the way, over near just south of Atlanta, not far from Macon, Georgia. And I was going pig hunting, and I'm hearing this guy on the radio going, my God, he's saying things that I've always said and got in trouble for. And he's doing it with a cockiness, with evidence and knowledge, but with wit and humor and unafraid in a world where political correctness was starting to get really stupid. and blanketing the media and our culture in many ways. Here's Rush Limbaugh literally riding a middle finger of cockiness against political correctness. So I called in his earliest days of his show, and I got through on my way to a pig hunt, and he welcomed me on. He said, Ted Nugent, the rock and roll super crooner. We talked about, family and work ethic and the things that we celebrate, John. And I got cut off, and I called him back from the pig hunt. And then I was on Rush Limbaugh's show a number of times where he welcomed me because he saw in the world of rock and roll, which was really getting ultra leftist and ultra against the basic fundamental beliefs of this country. And he welcomed me on his show. Eventually, I saw Rush Limbaugh debuting his Rush Limbaugh television show, and I saw his set. It was a nice, homey-looking set, but it was missing one thing, John. It was missing a Michigan whitetail buck mounted on his wall. So Rush had a big show dedicated to receiving my gift of a buck I killed in Michigan, and he put it on the wall, and he celebrated again what I stand for, what we all stand for, positive energy, work ethic, important things, family, community, America, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. And he called this dead deer that I sent him, he called it the Nuge. And over the years, when I did the national anthem at a couple of NFL games here at the Dallas Cowboys, where Jerry Jones, there's a great story. He said, we need a guy that really raises hell, a guy that's really a Texan to play the national anthem. And one of the guys went, well, Ted Nugent lives here now. And so they flew me in for 2 Dallas Cowboy
You were at a hunting
performances.
camp.
I was at a hunting camp, and I came in my hunting clothes in Jerry Jones' jet. And Rush Limbaugh, as I made my way onto the field, it's a big deal, these football games, so they tell me. And I could tell the pomp and circumstance was off the charts. And being a ESPN guy, obviously you already knew that, John. So I'm entering it fresh. I literally had blood under my fingernails. I came in from hanging up
And
a deer.
on your pants.
I had blood all over me at the Dallas Cowboy Stadium. And I whipped out a PRS guitar that Calvin Ross at Lone Star Music had prepared for me and plugged into an amp.
He came with us.
And Rush Limbaugh broke rank, and he ran out to the middle, the center of the 50-yard line. I'm surprised I know what a 50-yard line is. And he came up to me, and he gave me a big hug, and he thanked me again. He said, I'm so glad you're here. And then on a second Dallas Cowboys game, he did the same thing, always made me feel good and welcome. And I just want to reach out to all those people that are really heartbroken right now, John. I was listening to Rush's widow, Catherine, today on his show with Mark Stein, who I've also done shows with, another great guy. And the heartbreak. I mean, I cried when I heard it. I had to stop, and I really was emotional because he has been so bold. And whether you agree with Rush or not, and if you don't, I can't imagine what you do agree with. But he stood for all the right things.
And he paved the way for conservatives to,
Speak out, yes.
He started a show at 12 o'clock, a radio show.
On Wednesday, AM radio.
You either did morning or evening, but his was at 12 noon. And I remember thinking, who's going to listen during the middle of the day?
And so his success was indicative of the things that I believe in, that we celebrate here at the Spirit Campfire. So today is the first show after the passing of the great Rush Limbaugh, not because of his celebrity status, not that at all, other than that his celebrity status was an indicator in our culture that he made an impact. He was powerful, but for all the right reasons. I really believe that Rush Limbaugh represented the pulse, the heart and soul of the best families of this nation. And here's the ultimate indicator to me, John. All the nasty hate and the lies and the intentional misrepresentation of Rush Limbaugh by the other media, which really are scoundrels, they have always leveled the same lies and hate against me. And like I need more confidence, don't, never, can't, won't, but that I received word for word from the exact same punks that lied about Rush Limbaugh. Those exact same punks lied and
Yeah.
hated me, I could not be more proud. So I will continue to stand up for those basic American family values and the self-evident truth that make this experiment in self-government so wonderful. And I consider Rush Limbaugh a front-line patriot celebrating God, family, country, constitution, goodwill, decency, language, borders, law and order. That's the Rush Limbaugh that we say goodbye to.
I obviously, sympathize and was sad as well when Rush passed. Here are my thoughts on Rush Limbaugh and what I think he represented more than anything. Growing up, reading his book, the first book that he wrote, The Way Things Ought to Be. Everybody should go back and read that because it was really a prescient book in a lot of ways, where it was talking about here is the difference between a conservative and a liberal at that moment. It was written in the 80s. And I remember reading it and remember just being so influenced by, those are the sort of ideals that have been laid out for us. But the most enduring aspect of being a conservative is this unwavering sense of being an American and never quitting. That Americans just don't quit. We don't. We keep
Great
pressing
statement,
on.
John. Absolutely.
That is, and to the end. He worked to his very last breath. He could have retired eons ago. He could have hung it up and said, you know what a great country. I made $1 gazillion. I'm super famous. I'm out. But he didn't, because he was a true American.
Yeah.
And
he's a patriot.
He's like, what else am I going to do? So I really enjoyed the fact that he was impressing upon his audience and his sense of humor, talent on loan from God, half my brain tied behind my back just to make it fair.
What does that sound like? Is that what you would say?
That cockiness. I love that cockiness.
It drove people crazy. And it was hilarious because you're like, he's joking, but you can get your panties in a bunch if you want to. It's like, it's really, he was always interested in, poking a little bit at the audience, saying, hey, are you going to get mad at me for this? And he liked to hide behind, what I really respected about him is that he's like, hey, I'm only an entertainer, but I'm a really smart entertainer. And so he liked to play
I gotta
that.
tell you, thank you for that, because I think that was a wonderful summary of the impact and the pulse that Rush Limbaugh represented. And I will finalize our salute and our condolences to Rush's family and everybody out there that is hurting, including myself and Shemaine and people that believe in God, family, and country. But I've said it before on Spirit Campfire, and I cannot overstate this, and I will never stop saying this. People are going, I don't want to criticize Rush in any way, but people would call in and go, well, what do we do, Rush, other than vote? What can we do? And they would ask him all the time. And I think I had said it thusly in a recent Campfire, John, that here's what you can do. And people continue to dismiss and underestimate this recommendation. It's proven. And we have a proof today that it works. In Georgia, you need to call your mayor. Yeah. You need to call your governor. You need to call your senator and your congressman. You need to know your state trooper commander. You need to know your sheriff. You need to talk to your sheriff. You need to talk to your chief of police. You need to say you condemn the riot on January 6th. Yeah. You need to condemn the riot, but you also need to say, why did the police leave the 13th precinct in Minneapolis and let the thugs and the terrorists burn down the police station?
You were the first one that talked about giving people steps. And Rush was amazing he even took a lot of phone calls. In fact, most of his programs were based on callers coming in and talking about their experiences, and he would chit chat. But you're the first person that I've heard that talked to people about, okay, here's what you need to do. Here are the action steps. And I think that's so important these days because a lot of people feel helpless and hopeless.
So if you believe in Rush Limbaugh, if you believe in what I share with you at the Spirit Campfire, if you believe in positive spirit and energy, the people who represent you and will make policy must know what you believe in. Tell them you believe in law and order. Tell them that you know Black Lives Matter isn't about helping black people. It's a Marxist organization that is guaranteeing their energies and their resources are to destroy the family, destroy the community, to burn down neighborhoods, to hurt people, to kill retired black cops in St. Louis.
Okay, but let me ask you a question. I know you've got a guest coming in. But the problem now is that what is going on with the other side and the attacks on good people trying to represent a conservative viewpoint is it prevents a lot of good people from getting into politics and actually even serving on school board or city council.
Call your school board. So that's how we can continue Rush Limbaugh's legacy of conservative values, is to, damn it, experiment in self-government. And be a force to reckon with.
Start out. You don't have to be Ted Nugent or John Brenkus.
No, anybody makes a difference.
Start out in your school board. Start out in your city council. Start out where you can. Start voicing your opinion. Your voice matters.
If your elected employees don't know what you stand for, they will enact policies that are against what you stand for. And that's the defiant battle cry that Rush Limbaugh brought to the media that heretofore was unheard of. Nobody had the balls to do that. That's why I get attacked, because I have a T-Rex scrotum and it's swinging coast to coast and destroying buildings everywhere it smashes into, which is why our next guest is so important, because if you're going to have a scrotum, you might as well let it swing coast to coast and take down buildings every time you cough. So
that's right.
Alfie is on standby, and he's got a wonderful eatery, a kind of a party zone, it
is a big party zone, isn't it, Alfie?
The Woodstock of good eating. Alfie, welcome to the Ted Nugent Spirit Campfire. Meet my buddy John Brenkus.
Hi, John. How you doing, Ted?
Hey.
Shemaine, great to be on the show. My mission has been to spread the truth, and it's all about getting the truth out there. Today, well, first of all, I'd like to say Rush Limbaugh, of course, was a hero, an amazing man, represented all that's right in this country, and brought so many people, solidified them to conservatism, and we love him. We are, of course, have our huge flag out front at half-mast. Our governor has asked, all Floridians to put the flag at half-mast, and then this crazy woman that we have, Nikki Fried, that's Department of Agriculture, believe it or not, she came out and said for all people in agriculture to disregard what the governor said, not to fly to half-mast, because that should only be. And then it's a disgrace. She's a very disgraceful elected official. That all she's talked about for the last few months. I don't need to get off subject, but all she's talked about is cases in Florida, when we know that Florida is one of the most healthy places in the whole country, and we haven't locked down.
Alfie, I want you to know, you probably heard me raving, and I'm sure nobody's confused about what Ted Nugent stands for. But I would like to think that your seed-to-table restaurant, do you call it a restaurant or an eatery? What is it?
It's more than
I call it the happiest place in the universe. So
happiest place in the universe.
Happiest place in the universe, man.
I can attest to the fact you walk in, and number one, you feel at home. Everybody smiles. People who want to wear a mask absolutely can wear a mask. Most people don't. And you, Alfie, were the first one to defy that order and say, this doesn't make sense.
100%. So, it really is an amazing place. We have a 3,000-acre farm. We bring 100 items in fresh from the farm every single day. Everything in the store is made from scratch, and we're healthy. We're healthy and we're happy. And, Fauci said today that even if you've had your vaccine, that you shouldn't go into a movie theater for the next year because you might infect someone else. We've never worn masks. And no one's getting infected here. Nobody's dying. If Fauci cared about the people, he would be coming to our store and saying, how come there's 8,000 to 10,000 people a day coming through your store and no one's been wearing a mask ever, and no one's getting sick hardly anyone's ever got sick. If they did, it was for a few days, and not one person's died. We should have had 4.8 people die. According to the national average, with our 3,200 employees, we should have had 4.8 people dead already by the national average. Instead, we have 0, and we're healthy. We're eating healthy. We're getting sunshine. We're breathing in and out. And I cannot believe that, I want to get the truth out that it's a fraud. It's a sham, and people got to wake up. I'm not saying that there's not a virus. I'm just saying that they could have pulled this same thing every year for the last 15 years. And
what happened? What happened to the flu? Apparently, we cured the flu.
Yeah, well,
right?
By the CDC's own websites, they say 94.5% of the people died of other comorbidities. In a real pandemic, you don't need 9.5 out of 10 people to die from something else. They would actually die from the pandemic. That's why if you add up the half a person that really may have died of COVID, then it doesn't meet the pandemic criteria. But
well, Alfie, I've always done media, and I've always celebrated that entrepreneurial spirit. So even if there wasn't this insanity going on with the Chinese viral attack of America and all the dishonesty in the media and all the corruption and criminality in our government, you just started seed to table because you're an entrepreneur. You're the driving force that creates jobs and creates revenues and family activities. What got you started? And then I want to find out when you face the beast of dishonesty and corruption and turn seed to table from just a place to eat to where conservatives gather to defy the corruption. Let's start with Just the Eatery. Where'd that idea come from?
So let me kind of start from the beginning. So I first of all, you may have heard me say, if you watched any of my thing, there's only one American dream. You've never heard of the Venezuelan dream or the Nicaraguan
I've always said
dream
that.
or the Canadian dream. So I have lived the American dream. I grew up dirt poor. I started selling tomatoes and watermelons off the back of my pickup truck when I was 15 years old. And I've been surrounding myself with amazing people, and we've grown this incredible business. And actually, my first employee that was 14 years old when I was 15, he still works for me. He's at the store here working tonight out here. We got our same, most of our people been here for 20, 30 years, and I've lived the American dream. So I fight tirelessly for the American dream. And that's why it's easy for me to fight. I've been broke good part of my life. I'm not afraid to be broke again, and I'm putting it all on the table going out. I'm sure that this with Biden up there, we're likely to have the 3-letter agencies come after us. But I'm going. This is where we're getting the truth out, and we're going to fight the fight. But and I know a lot of people are afraid to stand up. I had a wonderful young lady came in here just a few days ago, and she told me, she said, "Thank you for creating this place. You've saved my life," was her actual word. She said, "You saved my life." And I'm like, "How did I save your life?" She said, "I was so depressed. I didn't know what to do. I was in Chicago, and now I've been down here for a week, and I come here 3 times a day, and I feel like it's normal again." And I said, "Well, why don't you come on camera right now?" We had the guys from InfoWars were here. I said, "Come on camera and say that." And all of a sudden, her face melted. She said, "Oh, I work for American Airlines. I couldn't do that." I'm like, "You couldn't say that you like to shop in a place where you can breathe?" No. She said, "Oh, no, that's a political statement." And first of all, it's sad that common sense all of a sudden became a political statement. But she said that she couldn't see that. And then she proceeded to tell me that they made her wear a BLM pin, and she had to take white supremacy training courses. I couldn't even believe it. I mean, this is happening all throughout corporate America. We've seen the Coca-Cola thing that's happened. This is insanity. If someone would have went into a coma 6 months ago and wake up right now, I don't think you couldn't even imagine it. I mean, what we watched unfold here, it's insanity.
You can't even recognize this planet anymore. And I can testify, I've been to your place many times, and I remember going there, and I felt just that, Alfie. I remember walking in and going, wait a minute, we don't have to wear a mask, and we're not going to get in trouble. And there's like a little nightclub, and I was dancing.
I'll bet you were. Just dancing fool. Well, Alfie, I introduced the show by, celebrating the work ethic and the most important attribute of an American, and that's defiance. So you got this great eatery, and I can tell by your energy. John, my sidekick here, I know that entrepreneurs and American dreamers, we get up early. We work our asses raw, whether being successful or not. And I never go, geez, if I play guitar really good, I'll make a lot of money. No, if I play the guitar really good, I'll play the guitar really good and I'll make really good. So I bet you started out, and I bet there were times, some of my entrepreneur buddies, they started, whether it was a dry cleaner or a restaurant, They slept on the floor. They swept their own place. They went out and got their own groceries and their own food and their own supplies. They sacrificed. Is that your story as well? Because you look like a high energy guy that went through a lot of challenges and sacrifice to now get this incredible success. And not just because you're physically successful, economically successful, but here you got people coming to you, like I opened the show. This is a sanctuary.
Yep.
We give them shelter. To have someone say you've saved their life in this world of political correctness and the lies of Black Lives Matter and corporate control, where they'll fire you if you say you believe in the Second Amendment. So when did that take place, that you realize that you're not just going to serve great meals right from the farm, right to the oven, right to the table, but that people came in and had an emotional connection to you in these very trying times? When did that happen?
Well, my father's taught me to always be true to myself. He said, to thine own self be true. So I've always been very outspoken. But, and I built this store as my dream, as a place of a sense of community. But I never knew that it was going to be a sense of all patriots. And that was pushed upon me when the BLM movement basically started taking hold around here. And I came out and I publicly called them out for what it is. They're, it's everything I stand for, anti-family, anti-God, anti-everything that I've been raised to love and respect about this country. And I called them out, and all of a sudden we had a huge outpour of trying to cancel our contracts. I did lose some business up in the Northeast. We lost our school contract, which we're actually suing the Lee County schools. They dumped us because of the Facebook post. And it was just, I couldn't even imagine it happen. I was just kind of trying to educate people because I thought a lot of people were duped about the BLM movement there. But so that kind of started it. And then we just ran with it because they decided to come set up outside, and I figured from the officers were telling me they're gonna have 200 or 300 people. Well, I had a freedom rally 2 hours before they got here, and we had about 2,000 people here. And we kind of canceled them out, and then that kind of started the this uprising of patriots at the store, and we never decided to wear the mask. I talked to an epidemiologist, one of the top epidemiologists in the world, a year ago with our Senator Rick Scott on a three-way, and he told me what's exactly happened for the last year. He said kids were not going to be affected by it, and masks wouldn't do anything. And everything he said, I wish I would have recorded it, but it's exactly the way that it's been. And all I can tell you is, we have 3,200 employees. Hardly anyone's ever been sick. The few people that did, we sent them to a doctor here that got the right meds, that were back to work in 3 or 4 days. And I do feel bad. Every life counts. I love all people. Another thing in our store that I like to point out is we have, out of 3,200 employees, I even have one organic store. We have a lot of liberals that work for me. And I've told all of them, I said, even during the BLM, if you want to be on that side, that's okay. I might think that you're misguided, but I'm going to love you. I'm going to love, if you do your job and you come here and you smile at the customers and you love one another, you can have different political beliefs because that's the America that I grew up in. So this intolerant way of the left is insanity right now to me.
John, right, that's your intro, John Brenkus.
Come on.
You know what, Alfie? You sound like my buddy John Brenkus.
Listen, this is here, Alfie. You know what's interesting? I saw your segment on InfoWars. It was really interesting because it was all about the mask, and you were saying, look, you can wear a mask, it's perfectly fine, but I'm not mandating in my store. And it was like people, it was almost like the woman that you were talking to wanted you to go down into the mud and to fight it out, and you were like, listen, I'm not fighting. You can do what you want, and I'm going to do what I want, and we're all good. And it seems like that idea about, look, it's okay if you don't believe the same thing I do, that idea, and Alfie, I'm going to let you know this. I don't know if you're a conservative because Ted and I are now classical liberals. That is what we are. We believe you're allowed to have free speech and have free thought in case sera. So I have a hard time calling myself a conservative when my views are as crazy liberal as that.
Right? Classical. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, if we go back to the Webster's Dictionary, John and I have always been that way. I've been surrounded by hippies and dopers all my life, and I never, attacked anyone. Or I said, "Hey, what do you mean you don't own a gun? You got to have a gun to be in my band." Well, I could give a rat's ass or eat meat. I got vegan buddies. I'll make sure that my barbecue is upwind or downwind of their tofu, so I don't get any meat smoke on their salad. So I'm a real tolerant guy. I'm the definition of the original liberal.
I encourage everyone. Ted, it's interesting. Since you and I have been talking about this, I looked it up. Everybody look up classical liberal and look up what it actually is. The liberal of the 1980s of the, hey, free speech and, que sera, sera, it kind of is the way that we are today now as a conservative. So those lines have been blurred, and liberal does not mean what it used to mean. So I am proudly a classical liberal, proudly.
Yeah, they shift everything 180 degrees, and I like to treat everyone. My father taught me to be a servant of the people. He died 8 years ago, poor. He always said he was a very successful man, but his success was going from one failure to the next without the loss of enthusiasm. Which I was doing a freedom speech not too long ago, and someone said, "Oh, you lived the American dream," and it occurred to me for the first time that even though my father died dead broke and he didn't even need a single death certificate, he lived the American dream, because every single day, even though he didn't make any money, he lived, and he went after the passion and the love for what he did every single day, chasing the dream, actually living the dream. Taught me to work hard and serve the people and love everyone that you're around. And that's what the American dream is. And that's what this socialism right now tries to take away from you. They it's here to take away the spirit of even being able to attain that. And that's what's really the most damning thing about the spirit of this communism, globalism, whatever you want to call it, is it takes the spirit out of everyone.
Alfie, when I started out playing guitar, my dad was hardcore, and I didn't know liberal, conservative, left, right, Republican. I was a mushy-brained doofus of a kid. I just wanted to play Chuck Berry music, and he couldn't stand it. He thought for sure Little Richard was the devil. I thought he was Michael the Archangel with a pompadour. So I grew up in a conflicted environment, but it wasn't mean and nasty. I think the most important thing I want to know, that we've shared truth, logic, and common sense so far with you, Alfie. I can't wait to come to Seed and to Table in Naples.
Yep.
I'm coming, and I might bring my own slab of venison. But I want to know your relationship with your farmers, because knowing the people that grow the food, knowing the fishermen, knowing the guy that cuts that beef and brings in the lamb and brings in the pork, what kind of relationship and how intimate is it with those providers of your, talking about organic and natural and quality food?
Amazing.
That's the essence of it.
Amazing. And before you answer that, Alfie, I'm going to go. I just wanted to let you know I was here. I love your place. Anybody who's in South Florida, actually, if you're not, you should go there and check out Alfie's store, because it's the most amazing food I've ever had, really. And I'm going to get Ted there soon. I promise.
Get Ted here. We've been waiting for him. And
I know.
You were stuck here for an extra week. We saw you a couple of times here because the global warming hit.
I know. Yeah, that
Texas
global
so bad,
warming in Texas was terrible.
We take there's a lot of pride and love that goes into all the food that we have here, and we first of all, we grow. I'm first generation farmer, but we do have a lot of people on our team. So our 3,000 acres is our own farmers. A lot of kids that I've known, a lot of the people on our team, for a lifetime, and even the people that we buy our beef from. The gentleman that founded the company, he's out in Kansas, amazing guy. He was a professor of cattle science, got out of teaching, and then opened up at age 55 his own company. But he feeds the cattle all the right product. The cow's diet is they take prebiotic fiber. That's about one of the only supplements I take. But anyway, it makes amazing beef. We deal with a lot of local vendors. I bought a local guy here because I didn't want to milk the cows and goats myself. I bought him all the goats, and he had a handful of cows. We bought some more cows, and we have all the raw milk coming in. But every single item, no matter what it is in this store, is 100% made from scratch. Even the wheat that we bring in is wheat from Utah that I get from a central milling that is the same wheat that your great grandparents ate. So they're not the gluten intolerance that a lot of people have. It's just because of the crap wheat that's grown. That's their GMO wheat. That's the strain of the DNA strain is 20 times bigger than your own human DNA. So of course you can't digest it. But if you get this heirloom wheat, everyone can digest it. So we've took a lot of love and care in everything we make here, and it's very healthy. And I think that's why our customer base, no one's getting sick as well, because we're living, we're happy, we're not stressing, we're eating good, healthy food. And I think that's the answer to getting through this pandemic here.
Well, it sounds like we share the same battle cry. I've always said since we started hearing all the squawking and moaning and pissing and crying about health care, I wish people would, and you've just outlined how critical it is to care about your health, which will reduce your need for health care. If you have quality control about how you treat this precious gift of life. And when I was growing up, this was called your sacred temple. There's no kid in America that has ever heard the term sacred temple. If you care about your health, and it begins with what is Mr. Hand putting in Mr. Grocery Cart that ends up in Mr. Mouth, and if it's got ingredients that you can't pronounce, it's not food. So being a hunter and a fisherman and a trapper, I know exactly how that deer and that woodchuck and that squirrel and that grouse and that duck and that goose and I know where these animals live. I've always been the definitive organic dude. And it sounds like you identified that if you really want tasty food that has that natural, excitable taste, that you got to start raw and natural. So a big salute to you, number one, on your entrepreneurial American dream, and equally so, your middle finger defiant American dream. I'm a huge fan. I didn't invent the middle finger, but I perfected it by the age of 8. So Alfie, I will be joining you and Shemaine in Naples at the Seed to Table. And do you call it a restaurant? Do you call it a store? What do you call it?
We just call it the happiest place in the universe right now, but it is all that. We got 4 bars here dancing, but we know our great country was started by defiance, and
yes,
not that we like that, we're not defying for no reason, but when it slaps common sense and goodness in the face, then you have to defy.
Concord Bridge, a good moment of positive defiance where we defied the king's punks. And when they came to take our guns, we shot them in the face. That's beautiful. That's like a ballet of defiance of good over evil. So I don't want to hear anybody going, well, violence is never the answer. Yeah, it is. When someone's raping your daughter, you need to violently blow his brains out. So I'm a big fan of application. So Alfie, a big salute to you. And you give the love to all the people there at Seed to Table. And I know I've been invited back and forth all these years that Shemaine's been raving about your place. And there will be a time where John Brenkus and I come to Naples, Florida. John can stay in our condo, or stay at Shemaine's condo, if I'm allowed there. And we will come to Seed and Table because you're a great representative of that shit kicker, defiant, entrepreneur, we the people in the asset column. So thank you for sharing that with us at the Spirit Campfire, man.
Thank you so much. And we love everything you're doing. And thank you for having us on the show. We're going to keep fighting for the American dream.
Well, give everybody down there in Naples our very best, Alfie.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Alfie. So Ted, first of all, again, another amazing guest.
Yeah.
But I am coming down to your ranch to hunt with the great Ted Nugent. But you, in return, this is all that I'm asking. You've got to come spearfishing with me down in Florida.
You're right, I do have to. Which, by the way, I'm glad you brought that up because we've been originally promoting that the Ted Nugent Gonzo Guns, Guitars, Hot Rods, and Ballistic Horsepower Orgy auction was going to take place at Tucker Hall in Waco, Texas, originally on March 5th and 6th. But because of this incredible freeze-out, which we'll get into detail here in a minute, because, John, it's really been something. It's really been an unprecedented nightmare for so many Texans. But it's now been changed because of some of the complications that have arisen from this recent Arctic blast, that it's now going to be the Ted Nugent Gonzo auction brought to you by burleyauctions.com at Tucker Hall on March 26th and 27th. March 26th and 27th. I will be there. And by the way, we haven't mentioned this, but the Ted Nugent auction, once again, you can go to burleyauctions.com. I think he set it up. You can go to tednugentauctions.com and see all the unbelievable hardware, the unbelievable guitars and the bows and arrows and the trucks and the Hellcat. But the auction will take place at Tucker Hall in Waco, Texas on March 26th and 27th, at which time, John, you will come down and we will turn you into Cochise or maybe Crazy Horse, get you to celebrate the mystical flight of the arrow, and hopefully get some backstraps out of the deal. And I can't wait to share that campfire with you, man. I can't wait to meet you. We've been doing this all this year, and we've never even seen each other in person.
I know. Now, listen, I need you to return I've got the whole spearfishing thing lined up for us in Florida. We can either go to 30A on the Panhandle or we could go down in the Keys, whichever, it's your pick, whatever you want to do.
Well, I got a bunch of friends down in the Keys, and plus I understand the food down in the Keys is nuts. I love that seafood.
It's awesome.
I love
the Keys
that
are amazing.
Seafood.
They are amazing, but I'll tell you what, if you strolled into town along 30A, you would have a crowd of hundreds of thousands of people. We could play a giant concert right outside our front door.
Well, I know I have some rock and roll loving shit kickers all throughout the Keys. My friends are down there. I also wanted to mention that, we're talking about activism, John. This experiment in self-government, I think we've lost touch with what it is. What it is a responsibility of every American to experiment in self-government, which means that we, the people, are supposed to be the guiding force based on the self-evident truths written down by the founding fathers of the Constitution of the Bill of Rights, those driving instincts that we all know to be truth, logic, and common sense, like the Ten Commandments, the Golden Rule. Alfie referenced the Golden Rule. You and I referenced the Golden Rule. We think that we should be treated, and we should treat others as we would like to be treated, with dignity, with respect, with tolerance, with goodwill and decency, positive spirit and energy. That is alive and well. And we proved today there was a numbnut in Georgia who was trying to ban bow hunting, which is the only system in some municipalities where you can't shoot guns in these certain urban areas. And the deer herd has been managed with bow hunting in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh and Detroit and Rapid City and all kinds of cities around the country, Newark. I could name dozens of cities where bow hunting is the tool by which the deer herd is balanced, and the traffic fatalities and the carnage on the road is reduced. The occasional agriculture that's found in the borders of some of these municipalities was devastated by deer herds until the bow hunters were given the control to manage these. So a guy in Georgia, I'm not even going to mention the city or who he is, but he was attempting to ban bow hunting because he was afraid of people stepping on arrows or somebody shooting a kid on a swing set or just such stupid stuff. Let me tell you, my buddy Michael Waddell, Luke Hilderman, Keith Mark, and an army of bow hunters and conservationists, spurred on and guided by Hunter Nation, go to hunternation.org, we confronted these elected goofballs and we got it taken off the agenda. Had we not confronted them, they could have been successful. And the history is irrefutable. When you ban the hunting, the carnage on the highways, the insurance outrage of smashing into deer that are not responsibly managed and harvested, the damage control is absolutely unnecessary if you're honest enough to implement quality control. So once again, we the people, by communicating with our mayors, our senators, our congressmen, our governor, and the game department, we said, here's what happens when you ban the hunting of deer anywhere. Within 1 year, the overpopulation will get slaughtered on the road. People will be killed. People will be injured. Disease will happen. The habitat will be devastated after 1 year. And we got it taken off the agenda because great patriots experimenting in self-government raised hell. So the lesson at the Ted Nugent Spirit Campfire with John Brenkus is when you see stupid policies, Michigan, you can kill sandhill crane ribeyes in the sky because they're devastating agriculture, but you're not allowed to eat them. When you see immoral regulations, get your buddies. Call your family and your friends and your fellow hunters and fishermen and trappers. Call your people at work and school and church. Raise hell, experiment in self-government, and identify what you know is wrong policy and fix it. We did it today in Georgia, and I couldn't be more proud of HunterNation.org. That's how you do that.
That's how you do it. Yeah, that's how you do it. And obviously you need to be vocal at the local level. Really is the most important level. I mean, like you said, there are elected officials. I mean, how many people know their mayors? Just
It's unbelievable, John. If you don't know, if your mayor doesn't know your family name, you're not experimenting in self-government.
Right.
And those that hate what you believe in, they will implement policies against you. I'm not kidding. If everybody would, number one, join the National Rifle Association, join the Gun Owners of America, join your state Second Amendment organization like Texas Rifle Association, join these organizations that stand for the most important civil rights in the world, self-defense, keeping and bearing arms, and communicate with your elected employees, at least your mayor, your governor, your senator, and your congressman. And do it if you call them once, it doesn't matter. You caught it. Nowadays, because we're scrambling now for damage control because we didn't implement quality control by consistent communication, in the absence of consistent communication, you're going to have to turn up the heat. Everybody at Spirit Campfire, I love you madly. I'm so happy and honored that you would join our Spirit Campfire. I seem like I know you, as Catherine Limbaugh expressed and Rush Limbaugh expressed in his last days. He felt a connection. I feel a connection with you. I know I don't know all of you by name. I don't read all the input and all the hearts and the thumbs up. I don't even know how to look at that. But I know you. I know the vast majority believe in God, family, country, law and order, self-defense, the freedom of speech. I know you believe in the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Third Amendment. I know you don't want the government to put soldiers in your house, to rape your daughter and to take your goods. That's what the Third Amendment is about. I know the Fourth Amendment gives you the right of privacy where they have to have a search warrant to come in and check out your place. I know that you know these self-evident truths, but if you don't remind your mayor, your governor, your senator, your congressman, they think you don't know. They think you don't care, and they will tread on you. Activism.
Yeah.
Please, America, engage now more than ever.
Yeah. Ted, in other news, I don't know if you read this, but the Disney company,
yes,
as referred to belovedly as the Mouse,
yes,
has found that the Muppets have episodes that they deem offensive content. So I don't know how your albums are going to be labeled or any of the content that we talk about. But if the Muppets are offensive, my Lord, help us all.
John, I don't even need to mention that you're a smart guy. Everybody can tell the minute you open your mouth. And I don't mean to be disrespectful by indicating that there might be some suspicion that you might not be that smart. But let me guess. Kermit can't offend you. Can Kermit offend you? Is it possible?
You know, what's crazy is the answer to that is Kermit really can't. I don't know. You know,
Miss Piggy, does
Miss Piggy? I don't know. I mean, like
at any moment.
I don't know what. It's funny. I was reading an article about it, and I'm like, what's offensive about the Muppets now? And I'm like, is it because Miss Piggy is overweight? Like, but she's a badass, and she's constantly batting people aside. She's a total badass. She's a smart ass.
I like her.
So, you know, I mean, sure, she's not the slimmest of figures, but she's a pig.
Jeez.
Pigs are not skinny. I don't know. I can't figure it. I don't want to rationalize it all. I don't even want to think about it. I just read the headline and tried to read the story, and my brain just like turned off. I was like, what?
You know,
So
I got to
just
tell you,
fritzed
John,
out.
I think Comfortably Numb has not only become accepted, but it's become celebrated. And I think a lot of these decisions are made by comfortable numbnuts. I mean, I don't even know what species that my brain doesn't know what to do with that information. The thought that they would think that a cartoon could be offensive, now that's offensive. That they think a cartoon can be offensive, or puppets or Muppets or the Cheshire Cat.
Now, to be intellectual about cartoons, there are many cartoons that are offensive. Looney Tunes, the Bugs Bunny cartoons, if you go back and look at the Bugs Bunny cartoons of the 50s and 60s.
I like it. I like the Roadrunner.
Well, they are legit offensive. They are not like, no joke. They are. I studied those cartoons in college, and I was like, wow, I can't believe they made those. So that, there certainly are cartoons that are offensive. There are certainly, pieces of entertainment that were made to be offensive. I just don't think the Muppets were one of them.
Well, I got to tell you. So, yes, there's a lot of stuff. Every day there's something, John, that makes you go, huh?
What?
Is this an LSD experiment? Are they still doing lobotomies? Are they letting people that have had a lobotomy make decisions? Let's move it on to something very positive.
Go on.
This is a powder horn that Ted Nugent from Todd Jones, my backup blood brother out there in Boise, Idaho. This is a handmade, it says Morris Ginkle, his horn. And what this is, I hunted with Todd and his wonderful family at the 777 Ranch this season. And this old flintlock rifle was given to me by my dear Uncle John, and it was the rifle that was homesteaded with Morris Ginkle, my great-great-uncle Morris Ginkle in Freiburg, Pennsylvania. And this was the rifle that he fed his family and defended his family with when they homesteaded Freiburg, Pennsylvania back in the 1800s. And because Todd Jones is a big follower and a traditionalist, he hunts with a flintlock, really a very challenging style of marksmanship. And he made this wonderful horn for me. In fact, I'm going to somehow see if I can find out. There's a guy from Michigan that actually made this horn for me, and his name is Paul Behe of Michigan. But what artwork? This is real artwork. This is a functioning powder horn to charge your flintlock, and it's just such a family heirloom. This is not going on the auction block.
That's what I was going to say.
My beloved Uncle John handed this down to me before he passed, and right after before my dad passed. But it's a .32 caliber flintlock squirrel rifle that he fed his family with, and that heritage, that spirit of rugged individualism, and talking about improvise, adapt, and overcome. I think I mentioned on a recent Campfire that when I visited the old Ginkle farm in Freiburg in the 50s and 60s, they still didn't have electricity or running water. They had an outhouse. We'd pump water by hand, and we heated with wood, and they had a wood stove where they cooked their apple pies on. So this is something to really celebrate, and it's a piece of history that I cling to. I also want to let everybody know that I've been bombarded with requests. The Come and Take It hats are not available yet. I just signed a couple thousand today, and they'll be available soon. But the Come and Take It flags, I signed 1,000 Come and Take It flags, which I don't know if you can see over here. That's the flag with the cannon on it. It's back there somewhere. I don't know how to do this. There it is. The Come and Take It flag. Those are available at tednugent.com now, but the hats are not available yet. And people coming down, they wanted to know if I'm going to be performing at my auction, and the answer is yes. I will be playing the one Black Birdland. It's not Blackie, but it's Son of Blackie. And I will be playing that Birdland. Plus, I got to mention, John, this cameo thing where people hire me to congratulate Explorer Scouts and Eagle Scouts and 35-year anniversaries and graduations and people that are retiring after 55 years in law enforcement. I'm having a riot with this cameo thing. People are requesting that I play songs. So I get down here, instead of just going, congratulations, have a nice day, thank you very much. I go on and I play guitar licks that they request. And if you want to have Uncle Ted do some big celebration and a salute to somebody in your life, I don't know how to go about it, but it's an app called Cameo. And I'm having a riot. I feel a real connection. And so far, I've done over 100 of them, and every one is a 5-star rating because Uncle Ted goes above and beyond the call of duty. And I want to thank people for inviting me into their lives with that technology. I'm having a lot of fun with that. Let's see, what else do I have here? Oh, yes. Big salute to Remington Ammo. My buddy Jason Vanderbrink. I've got a deal coming up with Remington Ammo. Nobody can find ammo. Remington is going to be producing so much ammo in the next few weeks that finally they will be caught up. So I believe in Remington Ammo. I've still got some old Corlock green boxes from the 1960s and 70s, and I want to throw out a big salute to Jason and everybody at Remington Ammo. And once again, thank everybody. Thank you, Courtney. Thank you, Herbert. Thank you, John. And thank you, everybody, for the positive spirit and energy that I get, not just during the Spirit Campfire, but it's feedback all week long. And don't think that I don't check it out and I don't value it. I do check it out, and I do value it, and I'm humbled, and I'm honored that I have that kind of connection with so many people around the world, including my buddies in Scotland and Ireland and all across Great Britain,
Australia and New
Scandinavia, Australia and New Zealand. So thank you, everybody, for that. I really, really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Well, we're now at the top of the hour, and Ted, listen, another amazing Campfire. Why don't you play us out? You haven't heard you play at all this show.
Well, I started out with Little Snakeskin Cowboys, but I've been coming up with these licks. I got these great songs. New licks that never end. John, see you a week from today. Everybody engage your elected employees. Tell them what you believe in. Tell them what you expect from them. God, family, country, Constitution, the Second Amendment, good in all 50 states without paperwork, just like the First Amendment. John, have a great week. I'll see you soon, man.
See you Monday, guys.
All right. God bless America.